Good morning, good afternoon. So I'm going to be producing the 330th edition of Outside the Box this evening. And I got a message from my LinkedIn account, congratulations for my anniversary, and I thought for a millisecond, and then it hit me. It's been 10 years since I came here to produce my first tape. Now, I did come earlier in the year in 2004. I was taking classes around March, April, May. Had a major shift in my life around June of 2004. Major shift. That was right around the time of the Venus transit. And that was when I started working as a busboy for Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Wasn't my first job. I previously had worked at grocery stores and pumped gas for the summer of 2000. I also worked in the shoe department at Nordstrom at one point. I've also worked at Williams-Sonoma during the holiday season. I never really talked about my work history, but a lot of people think I've never worked. I'm just throwing that out. I've also worked at GNC in the year 2000. I've also worked at a frozen seafood factory or warehouse in Wilsonville, and I actually helped operate a forklift at that time. Worked at Fred Meyer's for 3 years. Worked at Safeway for 6 months when I was 16. Then I moved up to Fred Meyer's. Also worked at Taco Bell, and I also worked at Wendy's. And those were my first jobs. As soon as I was legal and able to work, I started working. And I actually worked while going through high school. So not to give you a bunch of unnecessary information, but I have a little bit of a work history. When I started the show in 2005 on a regular basis, weekly basis, but I first started turning tapes in November 2004, 10 years ago. But during that whole period, I was working as a busser at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. And so I was juggling quite a few things from the get-go, holding a regular job, doing a weekly show, and doing a daily online radio show with the Republic Broadcasting Network. That really wasn't the right place for me, and that was a period of time where John Stottmiller went on the tack against another particular individual, also in Austin, Texas. And so RBN was taken down from some disgruntled employees around that time period, and that's a whole other story. But it involves Danny Romero of American Freedom Radio and a whole lot of interesting stories. But things have been pretty interesting for me. You know, if I look back at my whole life, a lot of things have happened to me, both good and bad. I've interacted with a lot of different people. Some friendly, some not so friendly. Some of them may have been friendly when I first met them, only to find out that they were complete psychopaths that at one point or another started to act like they were under mind control or that their own demons had full control over them. And so I'm facing something similar to that now. And I have this plan for a book that's going to talk about the entirety of my life, beginning with my birth, beginning with coming out of the womb, and the very first experiences that I can remember in preschool and grade school, my experiences with my mother, my experiences with my father, my experiences with my grandfather on my mother's side, my experiences with my grandmother on my mother's side, the way my father's family has treated me for not being completely of their kind, but most especially having a different view on 9/11 and what really happened. You wouldn't think people from that region of the world would be so judgmental. You might be surprised. I might title the book, My Father is from Afghanistan, with maybe, my face on the cover with a split screen with two different shades on each side, because I feel that the story needs to be told. I don't know of any other stories that are as similar to mine. I don't know of a whole lot of Iraqis or people from certain parts of the world, or Afghanis or Pakistanis that are of mixed race that are in the American alternative media. There are some Persians and Arabs that they have put in the mainstream media that are repeating the talking points, but in the alternative media, there are very, very few to none. I actually can't come up with a whole lot of names. Actually, nothing's coming to mind. But feel free to post a link to whoever you're aware of down in the comment section below. Tamim Ansari is someone that you might find on the web. That is a relative of mine. and he is pushing the mainstream talking points on the official view of 9/11 straight out of Berkeley. No, he's not a government agent, but he does have a favorable view of the U.S., as many Americanized Afghans or Afghan immigrants do, because of what the Soviets did to them in the late 70s to 80s. There is a sense of Stockholm Syndrome in their relationship with the United States because they live here, and the U.S. is seen as their protector, and what Russia did obviously was wrong, but probably was allowed by the United States. So both of them could practice having a proxy war. So here I am 10 years later, after starting Outside the Box TV, 24 years into my life at that point in 2004. Now I'm 34. Before long I'll be 35. Holy shit. I'm going to be 35. But I am going to write a book about my life, about the upbringing, and about rebelling against both my parents' worldview, the control, the psychological warfare that I was subjected to. And even though they both divorced in the year 80, right after I came out of the womb, I lived with both and had a very similar experience with each of them that rocked me to my very core. Then there were a couple years there where I lived, quote, in the dark ages. And then the light broke through my world in those dark ages. And the clouds parted and the sunshine came through, the knowledge came through, and a personal transformation of consciousness began to take place within me that was huge. In the year 2003 and 2004, I went through a massive transformation of consciousness that aligned my understanding with why I was born, why I'm on the planet, what I'm doing, what is the truth, what am I meant to do with my life. And once that focus crystallized, everything changed, including some of those aspects of the Dark Ages that I was living in for several years, between the years 1999 and 2004. I call those, for the most part, generally for me, the Dark Ages of Alex Hansery's life. Although there were bright moments in there, there was times where I was working, including the Benson Hotel, including some of the other places that I already mentioned. But inside were the Dark Ages. But that was for a reason. A lot of people think that we're just supposed to be happy all the time and be in some sort of manic state of consciousness. I don't believe so. There's a reason why we feel pain, especially for those of us that are sensitive. Some use the word impasse. And we understand there's something fundamentally wrong with the way things are, and things don't have to be like this, because human potential is greater than this. That's also why I'm so insulted by this 8-digit PDX character and some of the things that he's done recently, and why I view him as dangerous. Because if someone can believe that someone of my caliber, despite all the work that I've done, is capable of doing something like that, then they're capable of physical violence and stealing property. And 8-digit PDX, also known as Alex O, is capable of doing such things because he's in a psychosis at this moment. Therefore, he's dangerous. And so experience has taught me how to read these situations and understand what's really going on. And in this book of mine, I'm going to talk about multiple men that I've had these bad friendships with that almost seem as if they're there to co-opt my focus. But I think where that energy is coming from is more likely from a non-human source than a government agency, where people just all of a sudden switch and they're there to destroy you and everything that you've built. So from the Portland Preparedness Center situation to the guy in Texas, to one particular individual off the grid, I've talked about him in an old video, the pedophile neighbor that didn't like my kind out in the desert, who decided to call the police on me because I was staying in a yurt that didn't belong to me, even though I had permission to stay in it. You know, that situation. There's a pattern here of people trying to step into my path by calling the police on me or using police services, government services, the government, looking to use the government to hurt me. That's quite psychotic. That says quite a bit about the psychosis that those individuals may be under. Is it mind control? Where is it coming from? The questions are important because the pattern is clearly there. So every couple of years, someone tries to come up in my world, act like a friend for a few months or a period of time, could be a few weeks, but once they get to know me on a closer level, develop an emotional connection with me, i.e. known as friendship, then the backstabbing comes out as the knife comes from around from the back where it was previously hidden. The knife comes out and goes into attack mode towards my energy field, towards everything that I've tried to build. And here I am, ironically, on the 10-year anniversary of starting this show, starting to produce things. The weekly series started in 2005, in June, so that's another anniversary coming up. But in November 2004 was when I first started turning pilot episodes of my show. And here we have this sabotage energy coming in from wherever it's actually coming from, working through this individual like a channel, like an evil spirit, forcing its way into this particular building, demanding to see management, and making a blanket statement of defamation that I stole his tools, specifically $1,500 worth of power tools, simply because I have chosen to not be his slave because he is verbally abusive. And I shouldn't even have to come and share this information with you, because that's the embarrassing thing, that I was even connected with this guy. And it's also embarrassing to talk about the multiple situations that I've had, failed friendships with certain men that periodically come into my life, act like they're going to help me, and turn around and actually attempt to backstab me and take what I've created. And this is a pattern, and I think it's coming from somewhere beyond those particular individuals that are so low in their consciousness, so vulnerable and open to evil coming in and working through them in order to hurt me. Unfortunately, most people just view this as schizophrenic, and that is unfortunate, because this is a time of information where people should be educating themselves as to what's going on. And we are seeing the rise of narcissistic sociopathic behavior, and we're seeing the rise of people in the alternative media attacked and defamed. And we continue to see people that are homeless, or people from that have bloodlines from other countries. Stereotypes. We hear terms like towelheads. We hear terms like junkie. People use the term junkie for people that smoke marijuana. We have that type of insanity going on in this particular day and age. You know, a day and age where people are tortured potentially until their death, or sometimes until their death, unless they can confess to crimes that they never committed. This is happening on a regular basis in torture chambers throughout this world, but yet there are also people out there that are trying to toy with people's lives out here in the so-called free world. You know, use government resources to attack someone else who's completely innocent, yet having the gall to have a "Don't Tread on Me" sticker on the back of their van, yet they file a false police report, or at least try to embed that perception in those that they're speaking to by coming to someone's place of work, by coming to where someone's heart is and saying, "I called the police on this individual. He better get back to me. We have to resolve this without a confrontation," making veiled threats. So this is the 10-year anniversary since the launch of Outside the Box TV, which happens to correlate with my current home-free situation, living in a micro-home on wheels, as bizarre Twilight Zone accusations get thrown my way. It's time to wrap up this video. My hope is that whatever I'm going through this winter is going to open up a whole new world of light and possibility and abundance, true abundance, beyond monetary abundance, and have the tools at my disposal to literally slice through the disinformation that so many people are still addicted to, because I want to help people. I'm not a revolutionary. I'm more of a philosopher. Okay, I'm a commentator on current social issues, political issues, and issues related to the heart and spirituality, and what are we really doing here on the earth. This is the core of what I speak of. And I have a general warning that I've been repeating periodically over the years. And that is, they are planning to stage World War III, and in the end it involves occupation of the United States. That is not an end of the world situation. It is a contrived situation that the globalists are seeking to bring to life. With the heads of China, heads of some of these other governments, Putin, Obama, they're all reading from the same script. It's important for people to understand this, that they're playing us against each other in order to prevent people from joining the future armies of death of the world, as they bring us closer and closer to a world government with Russia, China, the United States, all merged, and the European Union, and other countries, and Great Britain, and France, and Germany, all merged into one. This has been their goal for some time. And the staged, managed events that you are seeing in the news this very second, the events the news that I post and share on Sue and Facebook and YouTube and other places and my website, many of these events are contrived events to push us closer and closer to that staged, managed war, and to get people into this nationalistic box. You know, for the Russians to hate Americans. For the Chinese to hate Americans. For them to team up as the U.S. pushes sanctions in Russia's direction. The ties between Russia and China only grow stronger. And it is all by design, and after 2020, China will be ready with their naval army, with their navy, with their aircraft carriers. They will be ready to travel great distances and in large numbers. And we're only in 2014, and this information was available several years ago. They're probably going to be at that level before 2020. But I don't think their plans to occupy America and terrorize Americans with revenge killings, revenge rapes, things of that nature, I don't think we're going to see those things until after the 2020s. And so, my purpose on this planet is to bring forth information, truthful information that is documented, that is sourced. Like it's sourced that the Russians came to America in 2012 and practiced operating drones over American skies and looking for domestic combatants, enemy combatants, those that are labeled enemy combatants, those that are labeled the resistance. I've brought information like this to YouTube and to Access TV in order to help the situation, to let people know these things are on the table. And it isn't fear-mongering to blow the whistle and say, hey, we need to wake up. We need to wake up. We need to get right with the universe. We don't necessarily have to go grab bigger and bigger guns and prepare to be wacko survivalists hanging out with other wacko survivalists somewhere, up in northern Washington or somewhere like that. We need to understand what is really going on, and we need to transcend looking at things from a physical, five-sense reality perspective. We need to ask why we're here on the earth and where we're going from here. It's all based on our decisions. Whether we help people, educate people, tap into our spiritual selves, or whether we hurt people, whether we lie to people, whether we steal from other people. See, all that stuff, I truly believe, comes back to us. And I don't believe karma is limited to one lifetime. A lot of people think they understand karma, and they see themselves as the deliverer of karma. The universe delivers karma, good and bad. And it's a multi-lifetime thing. It's not one person deciding they are the universe and who's guilty and who's innocent, and them delivering the karma through, a crowbar over the head in the middle of the night. That's not how karma works. That's how you create negative karma for yourself that can lead to the end of your own life. And there are some people that are living very dangerously in this particular day and age because either they're under mind control, they have evil spirits that are inhabiting their bodies, or they have such a clouded third eye from the toxins they put in their body. Maybe it's junk food. Maybe they're stuck in a depression. There's a lot of confused people out there that have no clue what's going on. And it's our job to try to educate those people and remind them that they have free will to turn against this nonsense, to turn against this darkness, to turn against this evil, to stop the infighting, to stop the baseless accusations, and actually ask the question, what are we doing on the earth? What are the real circumstances that we're under? And everything that we're seeing here with the news relating to China, Russia, what they're doing, the dollar, military expansions, bases, Lake Nicaragua being given to China, 100-year lease. It's all confirming the things that we have been saying for years. We're heading towards this point. As Obama goes over to China and they build this international world order to fight what they call as causing climate change. They used to say global warming. Now things are getting cooler in certain areas, so they're resorting more to climate change to save face. But it doesn't matter. They can't save face. We know that they have censored the data relating to how the sun, that's right, how the sun is affecting temperatures on Earth. They have removed that data. Thus, everything they have said is suspect. They have manipulated the data, rather. And they have misinterpreted, or at least they appear to have misinterpreted. But in reality, they're lying through their teeth by saying the sun has no influence over temperatures on planet Earth. It's just mind-boggling. So a massive deception is taking place, and they're building a world government right now, China and the United States, to fight climate change. See, they're working together. They're allowing Chinese police to come to Texas, for example, League City, look it up on YouTube, and learn American police tactics, while the chief of police there goes to China to learn Chinese police tactics. I've reported on it before. You can look it up on YouTube. League City, Texas, Chinese police cadets. Those are the search terms. Greater and greater cooperation. You have a Singaporean Air Force training on an American Air Force in Idaho, 60 miles from Boise. I've reported on that as early as 2007. But yet down the line, these massive weapons of war that have been developed, lasers that could incinerate people, neutron bombs, other types of weapons, it's not a doomsday end-time scenario, or it's not fear-mongering to report on the fact that these relationships are being built with countries that are developing these technologies and weapons of war to be used at some point against the American people. Because out of one side of their mouth, they're talking cooperation. Out of one side of the mouth, they're talking world war. It's only a matter of time before war is declared on the Western world, in particular the United States. Most people forget. What most people don't see. What most people refuse to understand is what will actually be taking place in the United States, Israel aside. They keep all this focus on Israel, and all these people that say they understand the Bible, thinking that it's all going to be literal and all literally going to go down to Israel, but we see what's being prepped for the United States. And we cannot have a blind spot to what is the truth, the what is, of where this country is headed. Mark no words, no doubt about it. We need to get right with the universe. Or some could say, we need to get right with God. We need to get right with ourselves, our higher selves, and make sure our higher selves are driving, are steering this ship, being our body, not being slaves to our lower selves. The lower self lies to the consciousness. It tries to direct it into wars, friends fighting amongst friends, baseless accusations, looking at ridiculous conspiracies, obsessing on Islamic prophecies, things of that nature. That is the dark side. Ignorance, mind control, not having the foggiest clue as to what's going on and who your friends are and who your enemies are. And it's very important to understand where human consciousness is, to understand where some of your friends are, and to make wise decisions, maybe wiser decisions than you've ever made before in your past, as to what type of associations you choose to have from here on out, including those you bed down with, those you procreate with, those you have sex with, be you a man, be you a woman. You need to start really calling into question the type of associations that you have. So this is the 10-year anniversary of the time period since I started turning tapes here at PCM-TV, a studio that was invaded by a person's energy with baseless accusations yesterday morning. The timing of things is really, really interesting. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.